It was Halloween Eve. We were sitting around with our friends telling each other ghost stories. My best friend suddenly interrupted one of them and said with a serious look that she was going to tell about her parents' first date. Everyone immediately fell silent. She kept crumpling, apparently deciding that we wouldn't appreciate it. But our entreaties worked and the friend began her story. My dad decided that Provo Canyon would be the perfect place for a night out on a first date. He knew the place very well, as he had been here more than once. They traveled by car to the mouth of the canyon. As soon as the car stopped, a very beautiful view opened up in front of them. A clear sky with billions of stars and the clearly visible moon. They strolled quietly, but suddenly, a feeling of utter anxiety filled the man. Perhaps it was due to the fact that they were entering a place that was too dark, where the crowns of trees prevented them from even seeing the ground beneath their feet. But, putting aside their doubts, they walked on until my dad's foot hit something too soft. Instead of finding out what was under his foot, they just decided to leave the place quickly. Years later, after they were married, the couple saw some interviews on TV that were conducted by serial killer Ted Bundy. When asked when he felt close to being caught, Ted said it was at Canyon Right. He had lured a girl there then and killed her. But suddenly, he heard some people coming up the trail and heard voices. He quickly climbed up one of the trees and watched, but he never understood why the fellow, when he reached the place where the girl lay, turned abruptly and walked away. I started having very realistic and disturbing dreams, and I am very worried about it. I haven't told anyone about them, and these dreams make me very uncomfortable. One dream on Monday, my closet doesn't have a door. It's just always open. So in the dream I'm lying in bed completely paralyzed, and I see a girl squatting in the closet. She has dark eyes and long red hair on her head. From the looks of it, she's a complete replica of me, except her hair is messy and unkempt. She stares at me silently, and I stare at her and beg this demon, go away, go away. I woke up breathing heavily and covered in sweat. To Tuesday dream. I am in the backyard of a house. I live on a farm in the middle of the woods in Georgia, and the sun is shining right in my face. But suddenly I lower my eyes and see a string of maggots crawling past my feet. The trail of maggots leads to the basement, and I go there, and the trail of maggots goes to the closet. I open the closet and see a rotting human body. This scares me a lot in the dream, but not as much at first as after I see that this body has long red hair and that it's my dead and rotting body. And I say out loud, oh my God, that's me. After that I see the shadow of a person in the doorway, and it runs right at me. After that, I woke up. All these dreams were incredibly real, and I hope it's not a premonition of my future death. My mother and stepfather live in Coral Springs, Florida, in my stepfather's home. My stepfather has lived in this house for over 20 years, first with his first wife, now deceased, and for the last 8 years with my mother, 5 years ago. Strange events began to occur in this house. I will describe two of them that I have witnessed myself during my visits to their home. The back of the house has large, floor-to-ceiling sliding doors leading to the pool. One day, all three of us were sitting by the pool talking, me sitting against the windows, my mom facing me. During the conversation, I happened to look at my mom's bedroom window and saw a tall dark figure walk out of that room, through the door into the hallway. When I told my mom about it, we both ran to check who was in the house. Maybe a burglar had gotten in, but we went around all the rooms and checked all the windows, and there was no one there and the windows were closed. Then one of us suggested that I saw a shadow from a passing car. To test this theory, we sat in our original seats for another hour, but no passing cars had the same effect. The second unusual phenomenon occurred on my next visit. A year later, I was lying on a sofa in the living room, which is connected to the kitchen and separated from it only by a small screen. On the second couch in the living room sat my stepfather and my mother. Suddenly, all three of us clearly heard the sound of footsteps, first on the tiled floor in the kitchen, and then down the hallway toward the bedrooms. There was another oddity. My stepfather works from home as a sales rep. He doesn't like candles, mostly because of the smell, so they don't light them in the house. Sometimes my mother lights candles when my stepfather is away on business. One time, my mother lit a candle when my stepfather wasn't home and then forgot about it. She clearly remembered not putting it out. However, when my stepfather came home, he saw the extinguished candle. Another story. There is a large grand piano in the living room, with pictures of the family and various knickknacks on top of it on stands. One day Mom heard a noise, as if something had fallen in the living room. She came into the living room and saw that one picture on the stand had fallen face down and was lying neatly between the other pictures. The cat couldn't do that. The pictures stood very close together, and if you hit one, they would fall like domino chips, one after the other. Unusual things still happen in that house. There is nothing sinister or hostile about my stepfather and my mom, but there is definitely something that dwells there that makes its presence known openly.